our compatriots who are following this edition of the government press conference across the country through various medium of broadcasts, social media, radio stations in around Monrovia across the country. Welcome you to the historic Child Audio Conference Room by the Ministry of Information. Today is the 11th day of August 2026, and we want to announce that we have here today as guests the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Jasso Malijala. We also have Dr. Aubrey E. Stevens, the Superintendent of the Monrovia Consolidated School System, MCSS, and the last but not least, Mr. Ernest Dukujala, the President of the Federation of Liberian Youth. Dr. Jala is here to provide some details on the free tuition for public primary schools, and other steps that the ministry has taken to improve the learning environment across the country. I want to say to Dr. Jala and her team, you are welcome to the Ministry of Information. We also want to inform you that Dr. Stevens from the Monrovia Consolidated School System will speak to some current events surrounding the MCSS, what they are doing, among many other things there. We want to welcome Dr. Stevens and her team to the Ministry of Information. And the President of the Federation of Liberian Youth, Mr. Jala, they have a program that is upcoming and it will be launched tomorrow. And he informed us that he intends to work with the Ministry of Information in executing that program. But he's here to talk about the launch of that event. And we also want to say welcome to the President of the Federation of Liberian Youth to the Ministry of Information. The format for today's press conference is going to change. Minister Pia will not be speaking to you before the guest. He has instructed me to inform you that the Minister of Education, Dr. Jala, will speak. She will be followed by Dr. Stevens from the Monrovia Consolidated School System. And then he will come to speak to you before the President of the Federation of Liberian Youth come up to make his remark. That is a rundown for today's press conference. And with that being said, I want to call on all of you to please give the microphone, the podium, your undivided attention as I now invite the Honorable Minister of Education to the podium for presentation.
I think I need that. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the Honorable Minister of Information, our dynamic Minister Pia, and the senior management team here at the Ministry of Information. I'm here today to provide additional insights as we roll out the free primary school registration policy. As we know, one of the critical reasons why students are not enrolled in school is because parents do not have the capacity financially to get their kids in school. If we are taking the census from 2022 into any major context, we certainly will see that the numbers reported during that census versus the census that we currently have shows a deficit in enrollment. And if we also look at the latest statistics, population census, it will also indicate that we have citizens in our country across various age levels. And so why are our kids not in school? One of the major barriers is the results of the lack of funding to get their kids in school. So I want to speak to you today about two reforms that go together. The primary education is truly free, and cleaning up how our schools are approved to operate. Both reforms answer the same questions parents keep asking. Can we trust our schools? Or can I trust the schools with my child? Free registration removes cost barrier. A digitized permit system removes the trust barrier. And so I will hang on these two for a few minutes to let you know the core message for which I'm here today. I announced last week the free registration fee policy. And of course, I have technicians at the Ministry of Education to ensure that that is implemented. And when we did, Mr. Britton and his team started to receive a lot of questions. What about, fees that are not stated as registration fees? What do we do about that? That we're reviewing at the moment, because again, what we do not want is for school administrators to redress the registration fees into something else. Currently, we know parents must pay for PE uniforms and ID cards. That's the most important that we currently have in the academic calendar. But we also have fees that are a burden to parents. And we're looking into the fact to determine whether those fees are truly going to support the schools to operate. But today, the discussion is around registration fees. No parent is supposed to pay registration fees. We know public schools are tuition free. Public schools are tuition free. So no tuition is paid at the school level. However, what has been paid are registration fees. So because of the burden that our families have, we have thought it wise as a policy statement to remove that barrier. Why does this matter? Historically, that has been the most common reason for why parents do not send their kids to school. This policy is direct, it's measurable, and it supports increase in enrollment, attendance, and retention. What backs this up? People ask. Is the government going to be able to sustain the funds that we collect at the school level to support operations? Yes. The Excel project, as you know, that the president launched in 2025, December of 2025, makes room for this. The school grants that will be distributed to various public schools at the primary level across the country will be the vehicle for where these funds will be complemented. So when we say that, somebody might say, well, after the project, what happens? Do we go back to registration fees? No. What sustains this is that the government, through the Ministry of Education, has completed the equitable funding formula that speaks to how much it costs to educate a child. A child that lives in Maryland County or Grand Cru, a child that lives in Montserrado or Lofa, a child that lives in Nimba, or does a child have handicap or disability, excuse me for saying that, disabilities that prevents them from engaging as their colleagues. So there are various things that were built into the equitable funding formula so that we know how much it's going to cost to educate a child. The next thing is that the government, through the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, along with the Global Partners for Education, are working on a education investment strategy. And what that strategy is going to tell us is amplify the equitable funding formula. But how do we fund education? Let's see it through the eyes of investment rather than a liability on the budget. So this Excel project extends to 2030. And we are now putting the formula in place to sustain that through budgetary process. But we want to do that with an actual formula and a strategy. So it's not something that's done because somebody thinks it's a good idea or someone politicized the idea of free primary education, which by law, constitutionally, one has to say that this is what we are supposed to do as a government, regardless of who the government is. That is what we're supposed to do. So one may also ask, how will you make sure that this is enforced? There are several things that we're doing to enforce that. One is that I read the Education Act, and I joked when I was in studio with Mr. Blyton that I carry my Education Act around. I don't know, who does this, right? But I always have to refer to my mandate, and this is my mandate. And as I read in the Act, Section 4.4.1c is what I read on the radio about the responsibility of parents to the enforcement of this act. But also, there is another section, Section 7.2, that speaks to an administrative offense that can lead to suspension or dismissal of responsible official following a hearing if funds are collected in contrast to what the policy now dictates. So I want to be clear, we're not punishing schools. It's about removing barriers from families. So the enforcement backstop is this. It's not a headline. But there are penalties, however, to school authorities who do not comply. As I indicated on the radio, we are in the process of recruiting 160 M&E interns who will be boots on the ground to support our school level county officials. In addition to that, we've engaged the local government, Ministry of Local Government, to have our superintendents and local officials at the county level, as well as a forward communication that's on its way to the LNP, because we know that institution is also decentralized. So we have a structure built around the enforcement of this policy. In addition to that, we also have the Back to My Classroom campaign. The Back to My Classroom campaign was launched in 2024. So you can see that this policy was just not written and announced arbitrarily. It has been a process. We started in 2024 looking at enrollment data. We identified counties, Bapolu, Bomi, Grand Bassa, River G, Grand Jide, and Sino as the most under-enrolled counties across the nation. And the president launched the Back to My Classroom campaign, for which UNICEF has partnered with the ministry, and others are now joining this campaign to deliver for the Liberian people. In addition to that, our program manager for the Back to My Classroom campaign is currently in the counties setting up county secretariats to manage this process with getting kids back to school. Another thing somebody might ask, you get kids back to school, where are they going to sit? The president's Back to My Classroom campaign also speaks to the one child, one chair. Are we going to get the over 200 or 300,000 seats tomorrow? No, let's be realistic. But we are making advances and progress to ensure that we have seating capacity in the schools. The other thing somebody might ask is, what's the number I need to call if I see a school that's asking me to pay registration fees? 077-212-197. Again, 077-212-197 is both WhatsApp and the ministry's hotline that citizens can call to report any school that asks you to pay registration fees. 0886-56-5264. It's another number that's available to you. I will now pivot from the registration fee to the digitized school permit system. When we took over in 2024, we couldn't understand how schools were approved through a paper process that was not transparent and not effective. So through the office of Minister Kanga, who was, I give people their flowers when they can see and smell it, Minister Kanga and his team really led the effort with ensuring that we have a permitting system that was digitized. What does that mean? A school wants to operate, they have to go online, they have to apply, and we have a process from the county level to central office to clear that, looping in the LRA, where school operators must pay their fees before we get them processed. We are seeing where there's major issues with schools that are applying for permits. We see that some schools will send us list of their teacher listing, and we see that the schools are operating kindergarten through 12th grade, sometimes kindergarten through 6th grade or junior high, and their entire faculty are high schoolers. That's what we're seeing. And those schools have not been permitted. They've been rejected. So there are several schools across our system that we have now rejected. And it's a system and it's a process that you can see digitally. And if anyone wants to go and look up the information that I'm sharing, you can do so by accessing the permit website. Our website we call a digital handshake between the ministry and every private school community in Liberia. is permit, PERMIT, at moe.gov.lr. That's the permit system. Why does this matter? Before digitization, permits decisions relied on paper files. Paper files that will be initiated at the level of the county with the DEOs, and then followed in a file up to Monrovia, gets on somebody's desk. There's a likelihood that some of the papers might be lost. But now it's a transparent process. We have moved from the outdated paper files and the non-transparent way that we were approving schools to operate. This gives the ministry real-time information and evidence-based data. Education planning is important. If we do not have evidence-based data and we're running an education sector, we are not doing our best. And as we know, His Excellency has said in his very first SONA that his plan was to revitalize the education sector. And that is what we are doing, bit by bit, step by step, drop by drop. So a school without a valid operational permit is not authorized to open its doors to students, nor the folks that they hire as teachers who are unqualified to teach perhaps a certain level. If you have a kindergarten or primary school and your teachers are at the C certificate level, certainly they can open because they have the requisite credentials. But if they do not, they cannot open, and we are enforcing that with all we have. What we've also done to support this process is we began a geomapping and school quality assessment process, for which we have completed in 5 counties: Sino, Rivers, Montserrado 1 and 2, Bomi, and Bapulu. This exercise has supported the ministry in identifying schools operating without valid permits, schools that for the longest time no one knew were operating, and they are now geomapped. So we can sit at the Ministry of Education and look at the map of Liberia with its geo points and know where the schools are and their geolocation. And with this work, global partners are watching Liberia and supporting this endeavor. And so we have received some partner funding to complete the next 10 counties. So when the president speaks of start something, put your money there too, so that when you engage partners, they will see the political will and commitment and then say we can support. This is what this government's about. We don't only go around asking people for help, but we start the work. And when we start the work, when they see the efforts and they see the outcomes, I always say success has friends. Everyone wants to jump in the ship because they see success forming. So I want to end on that these reforms together are supporting the ministry to shift the system. System that ran on guesswork, system that ran on paperwork, system that ran on lack of transparency and accountability, to moving it in the direction of accountability and transparency. So we are moving the needle, like I said, bit by bit, drop by drop, but we are consistent and we are focused and we are not deterred of what may come as means of jabs to the process, but we are here to ensure that we deliver for the Liberian people, as we have been mandated not only by our Education Act, but as we have been mandated by the Chief Executive of this Republic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Minister Pia, for the platform. You and your team. We are grateful for the opportunity. Members of the press, government officials, our teachers, school administrators, parents, students, partners, fellow Liberians, and our Honorable Minister of Education who's present here today. We are pleased to provide an update on the progress, reforms, and key interventions underway at the Monrovia Consolidated School System. Since assuming leadership, our focus has been clear: strengthen accountability, improve school infrastructure, support teachers and students, modernize the administration, and restore public confidence in MCSS. Under school infrastructure and expansion, with support from the government of Liberia and the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, MCSS secured funding in 2025 to renovate the Anna F. Wisnan Elementary School, the Monrovia Elementary Demonstration School, D12 Memorial High School, and St. Paul Bridge Elementary and Junior High Schools. Additional funding has also been secured for the rehabilitation and modernization of the Matilda Newport Junior High School, Boswan Junior and Senior High School, and G.W. Gibson High School. We have broken ground to elevate the NV Massaquoi Elementary and Junior High School to a senior high school. At the same time, construction of an annex at Pipeline Junior and Senior High School is expected to provide 6 additional classrooms, an auditorium, and offices. The MCSS Central Office is also undergoing major refurbishing, including re-roofing, fence renovation, conference room improvements, installation of air conditioners, and construction of a modern cafeteria. Supporting teachers and students. A major inheriting challenge has been the large number of volunteer teachers serving MCSS without formal placement on government payroll. Through engagement with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, funding has been secured toward transitioning more than 459 volunteer teachers onto the MCSS payroll, subject to the required re-verification and personnel processes. MCSS also completed the 2025-2026 academic year. Government funding has secured to cover tuition for 19 MCSS International Scholarship students in the return airline tickets upon completion of their studies from India. These students, these teachers who have returned will be assigned to various schools to apply the requisite knowledge and skills, enhancing the academic success of our students. Additionally, 11 MCSS students received international baccalaureate scholarship through the Ministry of Education and are currently studying at Our Lady of Grace International School. We thank Education Minister Dr. Jocelyn M. Jala for this support. MCSS has also opened a new early childhood development program at the Abiadu Benson Elementary, Junior, and Senior High School. Student welfare and protection. In partnership with the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection, MCSS has established a gender office to strengthen responses to gender and child-related concerns, including the growing challenge of drug and substance abuse among young people. We appreciate Minister Honorable Bemi Horace Colley for her cooperation and his support. Arrangements are also being advanced with the support of Representative Prince Tolles in our district for a mobile clinic to be stationed at MCSS school, one of our schools, or the central office to assist during medical emergencies. Digital transformation. MCSS now has an official website developed through our Department of Information Technology. We are also advancing the development of the MCSS Employee Management System, which will establish the institution's first comprehensive digital employee database. The system will strengthen personnel management, transparency, accountability, record keeping, and evidence-based decision-making. Unlimited internet service has also been installed at the MCSS central office, with further connectivity interventions being considered for our schools. Institutional reform and accountability. MCSS is strengthening its internal systems to ensure improvements are sustainable. With that being said, the Acumen Consulting Africa is currently supporting the development of standardized operating systems and procedures for institutional reform, including management tools, clearly defined institutional policies, and SOPs. The Monrovia Consolidated School System Reform will fully align with National PMCS, which covers 5 main targets: strategic plan, service delivery charter, resource mobilization, system efficiency, and capacity building. We have also established a stronger asset management office to properly identify, document, track, and manage all government assets in accordance with General Services Agency requirements. Working with the Internal Audit Agency and the General Services Agency, MCSS is strengthening its audit and accountability framework and preparing for its initial comprehensive payroll and personnel audit. These measures are intended to improve payroll integrity, verify personnel records, strengthen compliance, and ensure that public resources are properly managed. Looking ahead, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize that significant challenges remain. These include infrastructure gaps, overcrowded classrooms, teacher welfare, student needs, limited resources, and the need for stronger institutional systems. However, measurable progress is being made. Our priorities will remain focused on school rehabilitations, teacher welfare, student opportunities, digital transformation, institutional reform, accountability, asset management, and safer learning environment. And we have including 6,600 armchairs and ECD chairs for our children. We thank President Joseph Nima Boyka, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn, the government of Liberia, particularly the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection, the Internal Audit Agency, the General Services Agency, members of the legislature, our partners, school administrators, teachers, parents, and communities for their continued support. Most importantly, we thank our teachers for their dedication and our students for continuing to inspire the work we do. Our vision is to build an MCSS that is modern, accountable, inclusive, professionally managed, and capable of delivering quality public education to every child entrusted to our care. We are making progress, and we remain committed to doing more. Thank you, and may God bless the Monrovia Consolidated School System and the Republic of Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Sorry, I'm struggling with this. Okay, my name is Ernest Dugujala. I'm the president of the Federation of Liberian Youth. And this is a historic day because the first time a flag president has mounted this podium, and I'm extremely thankful to the minister and his deputies for allowing us to be here. As we have said, and I like to repeat every time I have a platform, is young people has been seen as disruptors. We've been seen as violent, oppositional. At Fly, our strategy is different. We want people to see young people as solution makers. And that is a process. It's not something that's going to happen in a day. And one way we think we can do this is by creating a structured platform for young people to engage with government officials. And so that's why today I'm pleased to announce that tomorrow, on International Youth Day, the Federation of Liberian Youth will launch the National Youth Government Dialogue. And the theme for this dialogue is going to be closing the gap and building trust between young people and the government. We're launching this because, as we've said over time, young people are not just the majority, but the absolute majority. 74.6%, according to the 2022 census, of the people living in Liberia, they under 35. And so, because we're the majority, we see that often young people in government can only interact when there's election or when there's crisis. And so we want to change that. The way we want to do this is by engaging government constructively or government institutions constructively to ensure that they do not just deliver programs for young people, but they're working with young people to deliver those programs. And so we're moving from complaints to conversations and to ensure that these conversations lead to solutions. So usually these are the dialogue, people go there, make speeches and go home. Our intention is for this to be different. We want young people to sit directly with government officials. They will ask all the questions on their minds. They will identify the gaps in engagement together. And we'll also share experiences and then propose solutions that we can work on together. And the expectation of the government agencies is to ensure that we want these government institutions to listen to young people, we want them to help us, work with us to identify how they can deliver better for young people. So for the May edition tomorrow, we have Josita Nuvio Wento as the meeting guest. And we have her because she's one of the youngest public officials appointed by the president. And we think it's an opportunity to listen to her and also to listen to young people as well. In conclusion, I'd like to say that at the Federation of Liberian Youth, we want government institutions to see young people as partners in governance. We don't want to be seen as just beneficiaries of government programs. And we also want public institutions to understand that the real experiences of young people, want them to understand the real experiences of young people and identify practical changes they can make. And so those who are coming for the program are signing up because we tell them that you're coming to the program because you are interested in solution. And so, and you're coming not to make demands, you're coming with ideas, proposals, and solutions. So after the launch tomorrow, our hope is to work with the Ministry of Information and the Ministry of Youth and Sports to drive this into a national program. It can't be a fly program, it has to be a national program where we have a platform where young people can engage with government constructively and find solutions. So I also like to end by saying that young people should not only be talked about, we should be talking directly with the institutions that are responsible for us. So this dialogue, the National Youth Government Dialogue, is our own effort to close the gap and limit the confrontation between young people and government institutions. So we want to do that, but we also want to create a table where young people in government can sit down together, understand the problems, and work on solutions. So we launch tomorrow. It's an open event. It's going to be at the Monrovia City Hall. We start at 10 o'clock, and it's open to every young people in the media. Thank you so much.
So I particularly want to thank the Flyer president for being greatly far-sighted. That's what it means for people to think outside of the box. Like he already put it, we use the young people for many negative reasons. And it is good that they have somebody at the realm of authority there who is trying to change that trajectory. And that is the reason why the Ministry of Information commits to working with Flyer in advancing the youth government dialogue. I believe it's coming at the most critical time because we currently doing the budget process for the 2027 budget. We can work with the Ministry of Finance in your office with the President so that whatever subsidy that is being directed at Flyer can be strengthened in a way that it supports the funding of the dialogue. Let's see how it moves. So I want to start by saying, as a government, in everything we do, we operate by established standards. The situation with the drugs is of no exception. Our approaches to dealing with the drug situation is based on standards. That makes us different from what influencers and non-state actors will do. In all that we are doing with the drug situation, the law and all investigative tenets are respected and followed. Because in the end, the findings and decisions that will be obtained should withstand judicial scrutiny and they should suffice in the court of law. This is the guiding foundation and principle used as we confront the drug situation. Because we seek remedy to this situation not in the court of public opinion, but in the court of law. When we mention your name and say you are a culprit,
or you are culpable, our actions and decisions against you should survive judicial scrutiny. We should not walk through the code of law just for formality, meaning you move there with little or no evidence, and therefore you can get no conviction. We see how people are shifting conversations here and there. Some believe that there are actors outside the government that are giving you more information than the government. Those actors are not taking anybody to court. Their actions are limited to where they're doing that. Government cannot conduct government business that way. When we say you are involved in drug business, and we believe that we have the evidences, we should be able to prosecute you with successful conviction. So these are the standards that are guiding us during this era. Secondly, we like to reiterate and maintain that our investigation and crackdown on the current drug situation will know no bounds. It will have no limit. In other words, we are consistent that there will be no sacred cows. The dimension of the investigation is broad and unlimited. It will move where the evidence will lead. It could be current government officials. It could be former government officials. It could be private citizens, foreign nationals, etc. No one, and absolutely no one, will be untouchable. This is our solemn pledge and commitment. This is our vow and assurance to the nation and its people. Third, in furtherance of this commitment, we have since considered the fight against drugs not just as a Liberian issue. It is a global issue and a global fight because the crime itself is transnational. We have been engaging globally as a government, and the outcomes have been overwhelmingly positive and receptive. Here, we have the Americans, the Dutch, the Moroccans, our West African neighbors are all on board. And this level of transparency can only be exercised by a government that has nothing to hide. We are committed to dismantling the cartel established here years ago. Our partners and global friends are pleased with us, and they are continuously lending us their support. They trust us, and the cartel knows it is falling apart very fast. We can only encourage all Liberians to join and play their part. We call on politicians in particular to play their part and leave the vain and reckless politicking. There can be no political dividend from this situation. So find another means for your politics. we like to give you update, having said that, on a couple of issues. And one, Solomon. The government of Liberia acknowledges hatching tension at the Solomon border in Lofa. The tension arose at the buffer zone between the Guinean military personnel and personnel of the Liberian Joint Security Forces relative to the location of checkpoints. In an effort to quiet the tension, on the following day, August 10, 2026, a meeting was held at the buffer zone between a high-level Guinean delegation and the Liberian Joint Security. At the meeting, it was agreed that Liberia and Guinea are neighboring countries with long-standing relations and should remain united. Hence, there was no need for security personnel from either side to engage in confrontation. It was agreed that the parties should remain calm and exercise restraint while we all try to work towards a peaceful resolution. The situation there is being closely monitored by the National Security Council, and the appropriate diplomatic redress is being pursued. Presently, the situation at the Solomon border area is peaceful, calm, and stable. The 19 million and 317 million drug investigations. These investigations are ongoing. Individuals have been charged and indictments are being prepared. Individuals arrested and charged include persons who were serving in government. Some have been dismissed and some suspended. The investigations have generated significant evidentiary leads and have indeed revealed an organized, sophisticated, complex, and well-funded narcotic trafficking network. Very importantly, the investigation have also revealed that this network has been operating in Liberia for a considerable period of time, specifically more than 6 years. Therefore, all available investigative leads are being pursued to determine the full scope of this illicit narcotic operation. The investigations are aiming at identifying participants, financiers, organizers, handlers, couriers, facilitators, insiders, and foreign links. Any public official, security officer, private citizens, private company, or corporate actors found to have knowingly participated in this scheme, attempting to obstruct the investigations or compromise the integrity of the investigation will face the full consequence of the law. We commend members of the Joint Security Investigative Task Force for their professionalism, integrity, and unwavering commitment to the rule of law. The Joint National Security Investigative Task Force will keep the public informed about the status of the ongoing investigations. OIC Faith Jerobiago. based on an investigative report submitted to the President by the Ministry of Justice relative to the officer in charge, DPC Fitzgerald T.M. Diago, and reports linking a vehicle connected to the narcotics suspect to his office. The President has relieved the DCP Biago of his position as OIC of the LDEA and has indefinitely suspended him from the Liberian National Police for ethical transgression and has ordered that he be subjected to a more detailed investigation. In this regard, an independent special administrative and ethics review committee will be established to investigate whether Biago's conduct violated the Constitution of Liberia, the National Code of Conduct, the LNP administrative instructions, the LDA professional standards, or any other applicable law or regulation. Members of the committee will include representatives of the Ministry of Justice, the Civil Service Agency, the Office of the Ombudsman, the civil society, and the appropriate independent police oversight mechanism. The vessel R.B. Alante IV. The vessel R.B. Alante IV that was within the coastal waters of Liberia and evaded arrest by the Liberian National Coast Guard has been arrested by Ivorian authorities. Liberia is currently in contact with the Ivorian government, including even at the highest level, for the return of the vessel to Monrovia for investigation. It has been established that a fishing vessel from Liberia went out to sea to the R.B. Alante. An investigation is being conducted by the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority to determine the facts surrounding the Liberian fishing vessel going to the R.B. Alante. The President is currently chairing a high-level National Steering Committee meeting to assess the first year of implementation of the government's arrest agenda for inclusive development and to determine how to accelerate delivery of the measurable people-centered development outcomes. The steering committee, meeting chaired by the President, serves as a central oversight and strategic coordination body for the arrest agenda, with the United Nations Resident Coordinator serving as a deputy. The committee brings together cabinet ministers, ministries, agencies, commissions, development partners, civil society organizations, private sector representatives, and members of the Liberian diaspora. The broad composition is intended to promote coordinated participation in national development planning and ensure the implementation of the AARD is not viewed solely as a government responsibility. As part of the administration's broader commitment to expanding access to education, and that helps the Ministry of Education as well, developing Liberia's human capital and providing greater opportunity for young people under the educational pillar of the arrest agenda, the President has approved the expansion of the Presidential Scholarship Program to public high schools, technical and vocational education and training, TVET, institutions, to universities, to community colleges across all 15 counties of Liberia. The expansion follows an ongoing restructuring of the Presidential Scholarship Program by the Presidential Scholarship Steering Committee and is intended to broaden access to education opportunities reduce the financial burden on families, and empower young Liberians to acquire knowledge and skills necessary to contribute to national development. The Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs Scholarship Program was launched in December 2024 as a merit-based initiative designed to expand access to higher education for some of Liberia's most promising young people. Since its inception, the program has supported more than 490 scholars across 22 colleges and universities in 7 counties: Monrovia, Nima, Bong, Maigibi, Grand Crew, Maryland, and Lofa, with nearly 100 students expected to graduate this year. Under the expansion plan, new coverage will include Grand Bassa University, Bong County University, Sano County Community College, Grand Gita Community College, Bombay County University, and the David A. Stride Technical College of the University of Liberia in Singia, Grand Kitman County. The committee will also increase the number of scholarship beneficiaries in Lofa, in Nimba, in Grand Crew, in Maryland, and Maigibi counties, while rolling out the program to public institutions in additional counties as part of the broader national expansion. In a significant expansion of the program, the Presidential Scholarship will also be extended to public technical and vocational education and training program, TVET institutions, recognizing the importance of technical and vocational skills in preparing young Liberians for employment, for entrepreneurship, and national development. The program will further be rolled out to public high schools, to universities, community colleges across the 15 counties. Students with a minimum of 3.0 GPA will qualify for an academic scholarship providing 100% tuition coverage. Students with at least 2.5 GPA and who have demonstrated humanitarian needs will qualify for financial aid covering 60% of their fees. In addition to the scholarship beneficiaries, all scholarship beneficiaries are required to complete 10 hours of community service per semester, fostering a culture of civic responsibility and giving back to their communities. As a part of the program's 2026 activities, the Office of the President will host the first inter-university debate among presidential scholarship recipients on August 13 and 14 at the EJS Ministerial Complex. The debate will be held under the theme Empowering Youth Intellect, Driving National Development, Scholars Arena where academic excellence is rewarded and intellect inspires the future. It will bring together 500 scholarship beneficiaries and is designed to promote critical thinking, public speaking, academic excellence, and civic engagement amongst Liberian youth. The winners of the debate will receive institutional and individual awards, which will be presented by President Bouaka during the National Flair Day program. The government of Liberia provides $200,000 annually through budgetary appropriation under the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs to cover tuition costs for the scholarship recipients. And from the judiciary, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, His Honor Judge Yami Kwekwebese, has announced the opening of the first labor court to be established outside of Monrovia, precisely in Sunny Quilly, Nima County, under the 8th Judicial Circuit Court in Nima County. Justice Weste said the establishment and opening of the court, which was yesterday, was a result of coordination among the 3 branches of the Liberian government. He said many years workers and employees in rural Liberia with many enterprises, especially in Nima, suffer serious setback in labor disputes. And for that reason, most of them ended up not getting justice because of the crowded dockets at the court in Monrovia. The Chief Justice said the establishment of the Labor Court in Nema County is a proof that decentralization of justice is possible and that development can reach every county. You have multiple speakers. We want the media to be able to engage. So I will stop here to allow you to start your question and answer engagement. Thank you.
You may proceed with the question.
Thank you so much for my name is Samson in Liberia. I work for Liberia as a minister. My question goes to the minister.
Which minister?
So you talk about